TinkerCAD tip. Today's tip is about using squares and the bevels and having to use the parameters that we have over here. I've mentioned in previous videos that in order to keep our radiuses, it's best that we use these parameters. For instance, we have this square here. I'm going to put a little bit of a radius on it here, and you'll note that the reason that we want to use this dialog is if we begin stretching this, our radiuses get all wonky here. So it's always best to use these parameters. For the moment, let's delete that. Let's bring out a new one. Start over here, let's put our radius on it. Now, if we try to use the parameters here, you'll note that we have some limitations. For instance, with the length, our maximum is 200. Well, what if we want to go beyond that 200? Let's say we want something that's 220 by 230 by 50 high. We run into issues with these parameters. Well, we can overcome that by changing all of these measurements to be 1/10 of what we want. So again, let's delete that. Let's start with a new one here. Let's zoom in here. And now let's say that I want, instead of a radius, I want a bevel on it. I'm going to change my steps to 1. And if I want a 1.5 radius, what I want to enter here is 0.15. Let's say I want the length to be 220. So I'm going to enter just 22. I'm going to have a width of 230, which is 23. And if I want my height to be 50, I want to make this 5. So you'll see everything here is essentially 1/10 scale. So now what we're going to do, once we have everything set, we're going to zoom out, and we're going to hold Alt and Shift, and we're going to click on one of these. And we can choose to click on over here and change this to 220. Or we could click in here and let's make this our 230. Everything will be expanded equally. And now when we zoom in, we can see that our bevel here is going to be 1.5. We're 230 by 220. And our height is 50. So we've overcome the issues with getting past the maximums by setting everything to be 1/10 scale and then expanding upon that. Quick tip for keeping your parameters in line when working with squares.